I almost forgot the most important part, actually. I almost forgot to move the goddamn screen. Oops. Alright. Vibe. Let it chill. I'll just focus on finishing this. Waiting to work on this again. Been waiting to work on this again. Been enjoying drawing this boy. Looks good. I like the way he looks. Started this last week. I'm hoping that I can finish it this week. I don't see there being too much more. Um I do want to get a little bit more focus on building some stuff out, but without any more ado, welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm your host, Isaac MCCanary. Gonna draw a bird. Try to draw a bird. Gonna try to continue to draw a bird. I want to kind of like slow down, just like practically speaking a little bit. I don't mean like I want to slow down um what I'm doing. I want to slow down specifically the drawing and just like take a little bit more of my time with it because I don't know, like I was rushing. I just want to take my time. Rushy for myself. Getting a bit too rushy. Happens. I get a bad habit of really wanting to make progress. Really want to make progress in something, and then I get impatient. You know? I forget that I do have to take time doing things sometimes. No matter how long I've been doing something, I still need to take the time to actually do something. I can't rush it. Rushing it is actually worse. Rushing is how you screw something up. Kind of for this bigger piece, I was really wanting to focus on just working out some of this shapiness and focus more on actually using the colors to like do better at defining certain shapes and stuff. I feel like I have a bad habit of just outlining everything, which can be my style, but is not necessarily good. It's not necessarily good. Be a bit of a crutch, even if I don't intend it to be. We'll say I've been stuck on this song and playlist recently. I've been listening to it a lot, and I'm glad I have been actually. It's been really really good in some ways. It's helped kind of chill me out. I think I got a little bit. Like we were able to beat the boss, and I was relieved by that. But it did get a little bit spicy early at that. Not meaning to, but a lot going on right now, and frankly, it's a lot to digest, I guess, more than anything else. There's a lot to digest right now. Have to remember to slow down to actually digest that stuff. One of the things I want to do a little bit more with this piece is I want to be a little bit more decisive and a little bit more additive. I feel like I was very scribbly the last couple times, and this time I want to be much more intent. Add enough color that tell that there's coloration, but I don't want to overwhelm the piece necessarily, but I do want to add more flex. More hue. Bit more. Add more shapiness. Bit. I'm really wanting to just focus more on trying to get more texturing. I feel like something that I've been doing a lot more, getting that texturing down to better give it some, I don't know, feeling, some anti-smoothness, whatever anti-smoothness is, the opposite of smoothness. Give things a little bit more roughness. I mean, quite literally texture. I want to give texture for the sake of texture, to give it tooth, have it feel a little bit more bumpiness, more. There we go. Ooh, I like that. I'm just kind of experimenting with the coloration now. If I ever want to get into actually putting down some more shadows, I need to do this, I think, more. I want to focus on shadows at all. Really, I just need to focus on single strokes if I do it this way. Nice and light, let it just darken where it needs to darken. Give it a little rest. Honestly, that's looking good. I like how that. Try not to go too overboard with it, like I sometimes can. Whoa. Done in 5 seconds, aren't I? I might do some more backgrounding. I might add a little bit more background to it. We'll see. Haven't decided yet. Depends on how I want to handle the rest of the answer is I don't know how I want to handle the rest of the. I haven't thought that far ahead. There we go. I'm gonna add a few more wrinkles. Like that. Like that. Big chicken. My big Mr. Chicken. Still mixed on whether or not I want to be adding lines like that. Not sure. I don't want to become reliant on it, but I also am like, just, just looks right to me. Me, it just looks correct. Really difficult for me not to add that line there because it helps add some much needed context, right? Like, it helps really get that to smooth over and get defined. You know? Go a little bit finer, actually. Mainly, I just want to use this to kind of like see if I'm going to outline things. I'm trying to do better about using kind of weirder colors for it anyway, so that way it has a little bit more character to it, and it's not quite so flat. See, because I did so much work last time, I really want to focus this time on just like kind of doing as much extra work as I can. Like I want to do more texturing with it. I want to do more technical work with it. I don't think I need to do much in the way of like shaping or forming any or anything. I need to do everything in as far as like getting the details down, which is something I want to get better at anyways. I feel like I oftentimes just kind of neglect the details because the details are messy and difficult to work with. It can be. Can be for me. I have a hard time with the details sometimes. I'm really trying to go in and like be like, okay, no, I don't get a little bit more color. Make this pop or make this pop. You know? Got to give it a little bit more of an actual feathered, is what it should have, anyways. It should be. It should feel like it's feathering a little bit. Bird. It's a dinosaur's a big bird. Big beard. I like that it's a big weird bird. Like that. Kind of do a little bit more counter shading and stuff like that too. A little bit more refraction. This is always the hard part with rendering with me, especially with the kind of like style I've done, is it's just a lot of like back and forth until you actually get a like, kind of like shape and coloration that you actually like, and you're like, God, I had to do so much. Pain. Pain. But it is always worth it. enjoying this too. I needed to just, I think I, if more than anything else, just needed to chill for a minute. I feel like time has been moving really fast recently. Either it takes forever for something to happen, or it all happens so fast that I don't know how to respond to it. Right now, I think I just need something in between. Moment to breathe. Moment to kind of just be able to focus on something like this, or be able to not not worry about nothing. Which, in reality, really, I do want to also, both for myself and for everybody, remember that if there's anything that I can provide here is an opportunity to be like, hey, well, it's a big old scared place. Really? I should be trying to endeavor to make this just a cozy place regardless of what we do. No matter what, no buts. Coziness is what we're going for. Coziness is what I'm going. And things have been hectic recently for a lot of reasons. For myself and for the rest of the world. Gotta enjoy moments like this where I can sit down and just listen to some really good music and saw a dinosaur. It's what we need sometimes. Do highly recommend the artist here, Haruka Nakamura, is very good. I recently found this because, like, out of nowhere, I was just like, man, you need to listen to Twilight. I'll put it this way: Twilight is very good. You had to be in a I had to be in a very specific headspace to remember to listen to Twilight, but it's very good, very good. I highly recommend Twilight as well. Not the book, the song, or not the well, it is a song, but the album by Haruka Nakamura. Very good. Makes me wonder how many people somehow look up Twilight and end up getting Haruka Nakamura. Highly doubtful, very many, given popularity wise. I'm sure that it it is often lost in the annals of the existence of Twilight, but I don't know. Maybe somebody out there learned of the existence of Haruka Nakamura by accidentally looking up Twilight and somehow getting it with the intent of finding the vampire people and instead getting very soft, quiet music, contemplative music. And then I'm like, oh, this isn't vampires, but this is good. Somebody out there probably had that happen to them. Not me, though. I actually don't remember how I learned about. Well, I can make some guesses, actually, how I learned about Haruka Nakamura. I want to say that Haruka Nakamura, I did learn about his existence from Twilight, and I don't know if it was something that demo posted or if it was somehow I found it on Pandora. Man, who remembers Pandora? Is Pandora still kicking? I feel like Pandora kind of probably hit a rough time. Pandora used to be like my go-to way to just find new artists for a while. And I haven't done that in a long time. I feel like I should do that more. Not necessarily Pandora, but like put on generative radio stations so that way I can like actually start learning artists again because I just don't know artists. I feel like I don't know them as well as I did when I was in college. I wasn't like discovering any artists for a while. I haven't been discovering artists for a while. Not that I think that like there isn't still good music being made. Absolutely not. I definitely do believe that there's a lot of great music still being made. I just don't know where to find it. Still do know where to find that. Dark blue. Boys sleeping. Finally calm down. I feel bad. I do feel like I was just being strained. I do feel like I kind of snapped at him and I apologized and I gave him a bunch of hugs cuz it was strained. What? That doesn't mean it's okay. It's never okay to like snap at anything just because you yourself are being strained. A lot of attention. I hope he forgives me though. All I really did was, again, just got a little snippy, getting frustrated, been frustrated. To relax a little bit, take a breather. Just glad I was able to beat that guy. Really worried. I mean, the good news is I can look at that and go, well, I did it. Focus on other things. Now I can do other things. So, other things. More blue, more blue. I don't know why I like blue so much these days. The favorite color used to just be the color orange. These days, I just don't know what to use it in. Even though I still like it quite a bit, it's actually not. I would argue that orange is not one of my favorite colors anymore because I just don't really like what I use it in half the time. I usually prefer using like a blue or a magenta. God, I like whatever my color my shirt is, that kind of like burgundy color. I like that reddish purple. I like that a lot. I like softer colors these days. I like pastels ever since I went to college and when I learned how to finally use chalk pastels correctly, like really soft, creamy colors. Something I've always really liked now. really like super vibrant colors. I like softer colors. Usually is where my preference is the softer colors. I also kind of just need it to be a bit of a chill time. Kind of need it to be a chill time. I've needed a chill time. I needed a chiller time. That's for certain. I hope I have that line going the right way. Ugh. I hope I do. I think I do. This is kind of the hard part, is trying to figure out exactly how the light interacts with everything. Not 100% sure. How it's interacting with it. Always the tough part with me is getting that spotlight just right. Sometimes light does weird shit. Sometimes wrinkles just work where they work. Sometimes you just gotta make a fold or a crease or a dark spot where you need it, so that way it makes the piece look cohesive. Sometimes that's just the best thing you can do for it. Finally warmed up today, which was it was pretty cold. It was pretty cold the last couple days. Nothing really that bad once we got past snow. We got past the snow, I think it mellowed out in a way that was actually quite nice. Really, the snow is and was just kind of the worst part of it. For me. Snow is always the worst part of it for me. Find that snow I find snow to be interesting. I know. I feel like most people would expect someone to say that they either like or hate the snow. Can't say either. Because for me, I despise snow now that I have a car. I understand having why snow is such a problem when you have a car. I get really, 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 really stressed out worrying whether or not my car is going to get stuck for whatever reason or if I'm just going to make a mistake. But as soon as I get past that, I actually really rather like the snow. Snow has a nice aesthetic and an interesting kind of accent whenever it's actually around. I think that snow helps helps to kind of like break up a lot of sameness that we see with something that don't see even very much in a single year. It's not in Kansas. I think snow also is just genuinely good. I think it's genuinely good for the environment. Um, I mean, it is practically rain. It's really cold rain, but it is practically rain, and rain is a good thing. It also means that we're getting a bit more, you know, a bit more liquid, and hopefully, hopefully, it'll mean that I always hear that that snow and ice help kind of like reduce how serious things like fleas and stuff become in the spring. And hopefully, we got a lot of good ground freezing too. As far as temperature, even like it's not been the worst. It's not been the worst. I've definitely seen times where it was just so cold or just so damp or much worse. Much worse. I would say that at least the snow this year was a lot. It was excessive, but enough. It was excessive, but enough. We got it all in one, but hopefully it was enough for the rest of the year. About gone now. It actually rained today. It was weird. I heard it raining earlier. I was making dinner and just odd. Still rain in winter. I'm not in denial of rain in winter. It's odd. It's weird. I think more than anything else, I just needed to take the time to. One, I needed that dinner. Boy, I'm glad I made dinner. Keep on putting off making dinner these days. I had a very bad habit of being able to talk myself into an excuse, and I don't really actually like that. I don't like doing that. I like to know that I am willing to make myself do something, like I can put myself to a task no matter what. Every now and then though I catch myself kind of being a little just procrastinative enough that in being a little procrastinative I end up missing the I end up falling behind a little bit and then being like, well, fell behind, I guess there's nothing I can do about it now. And I don't necessarily want that. I don't. I don't. Um, Worst of it is in the mornings, honestly. I will wake up and then be like, okay, I gotta get up, and I'll actually sit there for a while. I think I've noticed and realized that sometimes I'm probably just sitting there because getting up immediately. I think I like am like I want to get up, and then I don't get up. Oh boy, what just disconnected and reconnected? Love when that happens. Guys, I love when that happens. What happened? I have no idea. Maybe it was my oh. But yeah, I've been, how do I say it? Been putting off getting up. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I am worried about it. I find that both for what I do and for what I'm interested in and for what I actually end up wanting to accomplish, like not wanting to get up is not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Me or for anyone who has feelings of just being like reluctant to get up in the morning. It's not a good thing. You should want to get up in the morning. I should want to get up in the morning. I do want to get up. I think I oftentimes use it as an excuse to be like, I'll get up in a minute, and then be like, well, didn't get up immediately. At least I got a little bit more rest, and that's a tough spot. That's a tough thing, kind of figure out a little bit, right? Because to a certain extent, like that's already a tough situation of being a little bit reluctant to get up because you want more rest, but in doing so, I create a sort of vacuum of time in which I end up losing a little bit more time. Tough situation. Be out there who's also in that kind of situation. I understand. I don't know why. I haven't quite gotten to not getting up at all, though I've only really had that experience once in my life. Definitely right now, it's just difficult. It's just difficult. Blame anyone for being in the kind of mind space that I'm in. Already tough enough in a lot of ways. It's enough to put on yourself to just kind of at least go along with the ride. I am hopeful. I'm keeping up. I actually am glad that I'm keeping up. And I do want to keep up this year. I want to know no matter what, I want to know what's going to happen this year. I have a feeling that a lot of things obviously a lot of things are going to happen this year no matter what I do. I think a lot of things are going to happen this year. Personally, don't know what to make of a lot of them, and kind of, at the very least, understanding of a little bit of my own wisdom to be able to be like, well, at least I know I'm along for the ride and that I do have a wheel, you know. I think some people think that they're I think a lot of people know that they're along for the ride and forget that they too have joystick. Or however you want to metaphorically think about the end time. If you're making up every second, you still got some implement, some blunt object. Anchor yourself. Powers of Algernon is good. I mean, I do partly blame it for the kind of headspace that I'm in, but that's because it reminds me of something that is important to me. It is important to me. It reminds me of, to a lesser extent, many experiences that I have had for myself. So, I do recommend it, and do say that knowing what it is about, because I think that is a book that I needed to read as somebody who has experienced that spectrum of change to a certain extent. And it's a very good book. Hello, bread. Satandagi! Satandagi! I don't know what that means anymore. There, you've broken the spell. Thank you, bread. Thank you. I was feeling wistful, but you got me. You hit me with the satandigi, so you got me out. You broke me out of it. I appreciate that. No, I do. I needed to. Not that it would ever stop me. I just. That's one thing I want to maintain is like, I know I can be a funny guy here, but I'm also. I am a serious man. I have serious moments. And I want to make sure. I do want to maintain that those serious moments aren't. They're productive, or at least introspective. Contemplative, even. Ooh. Ooh, Sean could be so proud that I could say that word now. I practiced it. My Flowers of Algernon is a pretty important book to me, actually. Kind of understand that mentality of having to practice to be able to do things that a lot of people take for granted, I think. I know I'm nowhere in the same position still as the main character, but there is an element of that he's something I live with. A lot of the things that I'm capable of have done, have taken the way that I present myself, the way that I even speak now. They didn't, they weren't just granted to me. They weren't. And there's this feeling of, at one point, I thought it was just granted to people, I guess. I thought it was just granted to people. Not. Everybody works on, I think, differently. It comes easier to some and harder to others. I unfortunately drew the short straw on that. Which is a bit ironic. I feel like the thing I was really good at was always talking. I always knew, even if I wasn't good at the words, I was good at talking. Something I've always known that I've been good at is the talking. Like, maybe I wasn't necessarily the most verbose, but at least I knew I could speak. Very weird, right? Like, somebody who has struggled and did struggle with words for a very, very long time. Um, the actual act of talking is something I am have always been very fond of doing. As one of an eloquent, well versed in one of many things of this routed retune de planet. I mean, if you'd like. And I want to maintain this of I only got there because I looked for it. And then upon looking for it, I was able to find people who were able to actually enrich me with things that were going to matter to me. Like, I appreciate that a ton. That I was able to find those things. And then since then, it's always weird to, I bet it sounds weird to hear, but it's like fucking, I've read so many books in the last 2 months. 2 to 3 months. In the last 3 to 4 years, I've read more books than I ever have. And if I could give anyone any suggestion for something that I took for granted because I was not encouraged to do this well enough, is always be willing to research and look for a book. Thank you. Thank you. I try. Books are good. Obviously, that probably goes without saying, but really, I think people forget how important books are. They're not the only piece of media. And there is something to be said that really what it comes down to is people forget how good literature is. Literature can come in all forms and all pieces of media, and I hope people are still looking for literature. You we have the entirety of human time, and there's a lot of books that have already been made, and there's probably still going to be a lot of good books that will be made, good pieces of media for that matter. Um, One of them was for me was I've read two of my favorite books of all time within the last year. I've read. I reread The Count of Monte Cristo, which is for me like one of the best just stories, like dramas. It's really good and I like it a lot, and it impresses me how long that book is without feeling like it's too long. I do have like a kind of like it's not so much like even a page, though. I will say by the end of it, I was like, I'm really glad I read this. I'm really glad I read it all the way through. God damn, am I glad I'm done with it. It's a long fucking book. It's a long book, but it's a good book, and it probably plays a huge influence on my own kind of like more melodramatic character writing and kind of like character drama for what it does. And I mean, like it's held up. It's a fantastic piece of classic literature. And just this week, like I started it Sunday and then just binged it. It never feels right. Not yeah. Yep. Agreed. What's funny is I think part of the appeal of the Count of Monte Cristo for me was feeling like you also like overcame it because it's so long, but you don't. It's one of those cases of like, wow, that was a really long book, but it was still good through the whole thing. Like it wasn't at odds with it. It just also was satisfying to finish because fuck, just like yeah, I did it. Beat your ass. um, did it. I beat the book. Um, but I read that, and I actually read it in high school the first time, and I've very recently been wanting to go and like reread and re-examine a lot of things that I like grew up with or had seen when I was younger, just to like be like, are there things that I missed? For example, The Abyss, and absolutely yes, in The Abyss. Holy shit. I think The Abyss is really fascinating in as a joke. I'm like, it's like a really good dad movie, but also I don't. Why do you keep that noise? What what keeps happening? Oh, this okay. What's this? Hold on. I thought so. I was like, question it. Okay. Are you just dead now? I have to unplug. I hate everything. I hate everything. Oh, it's very good. Scott Pilgrim is one of my favorite. It is also quite good. Highly recommend Scott Pilgrim. It's a very very good book. Very good graphic novel. I like it quite a bit. Hot take. Uh, don't like Scott. I don't think you're supposed to like Scott. And I think its ending is good. I do actually. I think its ending is good. But because not because it's a happy ending. But if you haven't read it, I won't spoil what the ending is. So, but the other book I read very recently that is now, and if you can, I know this might be a tall ask, but if you can, let any books suffering. Like if you can get books. Like find books, read all sorts of different kinds of books. Don't just read regular media. When I say I read The Count of Monte Cristo, that's a book from like 1890s. 18 when the fuck did The Count of Monte Cristo get written? Count of Monte Cristo was written in 1844. Um, it's a really, really good book. And then the book that I just read, which has like actually like it just hit me like a sack of truck full of sacks of trucks. Flowers for Algernon. I mentioned it last stream. Is really really good, and if you can get access to it to read it, it's very very good. Um, was and apparently, like, I was reading up on it a little bit about it, like it is taught in schools, and I'm kind of like, boy, I wish this was taught in my school. The anim- the thing is suffering. That's not this. This is not a. This is not an argument of the book or the anime is better. There's a problem with that. Anime, the book, are not the same pieces of media. Oh, okay, good. Literature, yes. Because the big thing, I'd actually say for both, and also, hi Silos, you are equally doing yourself a disservice for Scott Pilgrim if you don't at least read the graphic novel and watch the show. If that makes sense. Like, if you like Scott Pilgrim and you've read the graphic novel, you kind of owe it to yourself to watch the anime. If you've watched the anime and enjoy it, dang it, Dodo. Trying to have a conversation. Hydrate, man. Thank you. If you, uh, if you, hi Dodo, welcome. Look at my little guy. I'm feeding him a little eggplant. Uh, if you've seen the show, which I think is totally like acceptable, I think you can watch the show before you read the graphic novel. I do think you owe it to yourself to read the graphic novel because the graphic novel has context that affects the show. A whole thing about the show is that it is not the graphic novel for good reason. For very good reason. It actually utilizes its deviation for storytelling effect. Like it is examined. The show examines the graphic novel. So, if you have seen the show but have not read Scott Pilgrim, or really even watched the movie, all three are kind of like a partner piece. All three of them go together because also the show examines the movie as well. And the movie is good. Edgar Wright did a good job with it. I've actually seen it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I do like the graphic novel better, but it's a very good film for being a film that's just a fun film. Um, so well, I recommend all of them, and I recommend all of them together as like a companion piece to each other. Like that's a big thing that I would say is a lot of people like to argue, oh, the book's better than the movie's better than the book, yada 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 yada, of anything, not just Scott Pilgrim, of every piece of media on the planet. Everyone's always going to argue that to the end of time. I would actually argue very recently I've had a much harder time with that than I think a lot of other people do. A lot of other people usually lean to the media that I have perceived is the media that they saw first. Is usually, I think, what most people land on for what they prefer as the one that's better. Case in point, for me, I have two examples here actually. I have one that's older, that's a little bit complicated because it has to do with me flipping back and forth essentially between which I thought was better, only to settle on they just do kind of their own things differently, better and worse. Jurassic Park, I think the movie does a better job of actually keeping certain things about the characters a little bit more in line and moving. I think that the movie is much more concerned with the stakes, but also still able to bring up a lot of the kind of philosophical elements that are brought up in the book, but in a more direct way that they just kind of like discuss. The book kind of like goes around and tries to um have like a discussion over from time to time. It's got a little bit more sciencey stuff, science fictiony stuff. I think the movie does absolutely a better job of actually like making situations that are um you know very well designed, I think. And I think the book has some issues with actually some of its characters. I think the movie is a little bit more laxed on its characters, while the book is much more direct. Uh, I have problems with Ian Malcolm. He's an asshole in the book. He's an asshole in the movie, but it's fucking Jeff Goldblum, so he's fun. He's a pretentious asshole in the book and doesn't make a point until he's literally dead. Um, he doesn't die. He appears in the second book. I know, but he does die practically in the book. He dies in the book. But I do think the book does a little bit better at some of its discussion points. I think it also brings more to a kind of front that the focus of the book is not on dinosaurs. The focus on the book is writing about how genetic manipulation can have consequences. Because in the book, they're described not even as like dinosaurs. They say that they're dinosaurs, but there's a certain point where you realize that the things in the book are not dinosaurs. They're just what we think dinosaurs are. Yeah, I'm mainly just fleshing stuff out. I kind of anticipated today to be like, I'm going to focus on finishing this piece. I'm gonna add as much as I can to it, but not really that much more to add to it. Another one that I ran into though is actually Arrival and its source material, Story of My Life. I think that both independently do their own things correctly, whilst the other one misses the point of the other one, which is a bit ironic. Like, for example, we discussed it, a little bit live. And one of the kind of criticisms that Sean and I have of the movie is what I like to call meatheadedness. The movie has a bad habit of uh has a bad habit of wanting to apply more stakes and thus sometimes comes in a little bit tonal contrast to the more contemplative elements of the movie. That said, I do think that when it handles those parts right, one of the things that the novel actually lacks is that sense of is a sense of urgency or a sense of um of tension. The movie has great tension. It really, really does. Even though it has some moments where characters are just kind of a little bit too blunt. For me, it's just some characters are a little bit too blunt. Um, Whereas the book doesn't have a sense of urgency and just ends. It doesn't. Its conclusion is they came, we learned, we don't know what they wanted, they left. So I actually think that the movie does a better job of actually establishing what goals were and having like an actual philosophical discussion about that. But the book is still very good, so how they fumbled the Electric State movie. Oh god, I have no idea what that is. Never heard of it. Also just trying to add, I don't know. I just want to add a little bit of grounding. I'm trying to add a little bit of grounding. It's a Robot Revolution Avengers Stakes-esque movie when it shouldn't be that. Huh. I have never heard of it. What is it based on? Is it based on a book? Based on a novel? Novel and a book are the same thing. I don't know why I said that. Is it based on... it is based on a book. I've gone out of my way to try to, like, read... When I find out that something is based on a novel, I'm like, okay, I should go out of my way to at least read that, too. Another example of that actually that I read recently, kind of per recommendation of David, but also because I'd been meaning to read it for a long time. I Am Legend. I Am Legend is great. You want an example now? If you do want a definitive example of something that pretty much completely fumbles one of the core points, absolutely, absolutely. I Am Legend does. I Am Legend is a little bit. I Am Legend is good, especially by the end of it. I Am Legend is really, really good. I found it to be a little bit distracting at times about certain kinds of core material, but again, usually when it comes to that kind of thing, I usually just find it more distracting than a game changer. He just really fixates on some things. And I'm like, I get it, man. I know you're isolated, and I know what you're dealing with. Really wish you would just get off of it. um, but otherwise, like the rest of the book is great, and then what it ends on, the note that it ends on is spectacular, and the movie just doesn't have that. And I think it's a fascinating phenomenon because it sometimes feels weird what interpretations end up getting changed by the end of a piece of media when it has been transformed into a new medium, right? Like, sometimes it feels random. Sometimes it feels like it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it feels like it's done out of convenience. But in the case of I Am Legend, absolutely, they just threw it away. They just threw away what that ending was because there's a huge important thing that happens that is an interaction that they could have had even in that movie. I think they just don't. They just don't. There's a very important event that happens by the end of that book that completely recontextualizes the whole fucking book. It's really good. And also explains the reason why the name of the book is I Am Legend, which the movie doesn't establish. It's kind of an important core part of it. Literally the ending lines of the book. I'll have to check that out though. Because what is the book supposed to be? Electric State. I always because science fiction is probably still my favorite genre. It's the genre I have the most interest in, as it has the most philosophical kind of like needlings that I appreciate out of media. I really, really, really like science fiction that can get you to re-examine things and your perspectives on things. In a lot of ways, science fiction for me, the best science fiction for me is not about always good science, but about manipulating one's perception through the use of either a combination of technical jargon or exploring real elements in ways that are currently outside of our capabilities. That's another thing I like about science fiction. Oh man, I'm worried that this is getting busted. Don't break my very expensive thing, please. Oh, what I'm worried is like, is there some kind of strain on the USB cord? It doesn't feel like there is. There's this. Right, lifting or putting you up there. give a link to a video, I would recommend posting it to the Discord. Now I'll check it out later. So do know that, everybody. Like, you feel free to post things to the Discord. I usually see what's there. If I don't, it's just because I missed it. It's not because I didn't want to see it or whatever. Um, on flip side, do know I'll just have to get to that when I can. I'm just streaming right now. I can't watch it right now. I've seen some people do stuff like that. I haven't decided whether or not I want to really do stuff like that. I know some people will be like for example, there's somebody who will be streaming and somebody will be like, "Hey, you heard of this game or this game?" And they'll be like, "Hey, let's watch a trailer for it." But I haven't. I feel like I don't know if I've established enough of a kind of understanding of what kinds of games would catch my attention yet. Especially because I mean, I still have a little bit of an annoyance that I ran into a long time ago where somebody was like, "Hey, they straight up, supported the stream." I was like, "Oh, wow, thank you." It came out of nowhere. And then later they were like, "Hey, you should play this game." And I was like, I'll look into it, I guess. But I make no promises. There's a lot of stuff I want to do, so I can't guarantee I'm gonna get to it or even find it interesting. And then they were like, "Sure, whatever." And then they like came back later. I looked at the game and I was like, "This is not really," because what I was playing at the time was I was playing Darkwood. I was playing Darkwood, and I was like, "Man, I really like Darkwood. It does a really good job of capturing a sort of like Lovecraftian level horror, and that is something I really really like." You're supposed to, aren't you? Weird. Um, And then they were in chat. They were like, "This isn't Lovecraftian. I'll show you Lovecraftian." And they like linked me to that game. And later were like, "So you're gonna play that game that I told you about?" And I was like, "Probably not. It doesn't really fit my thing." And they were like, "Well, I guess it was $15 wasted." And it's just like, not how anything works. This is not how anything works. So I oftentimes get really like, I do not know why I've had such bad experiences with that kind of thing, that I'm just like generally very hesitant to be actually open to um wanting to like be like having somebody be like, "Hey, check this thing out," and be like, "Yeah, I'll just check it out." I don't know. I feel like I've been burned many times or too aware that I'll, oh, come on, with that. Oh, like, yeah, I guess I gotta be careful. I've had a lot of bad experiences with that. I don't know why. It kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. And I do want to be better about it. I do, and I've been considering things like requests for music and stuff. But again, I just get the impression that there's no guarantee that I'm gonna like what anyone ever puts. So I just rather not have that kind of pressure on me. Oh, I don't know. Bit of a weird thing. It's a bit of a weird thing I've run into. And I do feel bad about it. Like, I think a lot of people do just want to share things they find. Half the reason why I stream this is to share things that I've found, share games, share art, share music. You know, it's why I like to maintain at least that I stick to my guns and I say like a lot of it is about curation for me, as much as it is about you know silly things. A lot of what I am doing is about curating it specifically to try to make this a kind of environment in which the things that are being kind of highlighted are things that I think are important to be highlighted, not because they're the only important things, they're just the things that I think are the most important to me and what I want to impart on people and the world. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm full of shit. And usually. Can I get a drag? Yeah. All that to say, everybody go read books. Books are good. Really, I've just been doing a lot of audiobooks. Audiobooks have been hugely helpful for that. They help me like I find that listening to a story is a lot easier for me to do. I can do other things at the same time, and I'm a little bit more engaged depending on what the story is doing. Depends on the story too. Go up here this a little bit. Books. Yeah. I was here yesterday when I mentioned that I read. What's funny is now that I'm like know the existence of this book, I'm like asking everybody. I'm like, "Have you read this book? It's really good." Well, it didn't even change my life. It just helped remind me of some perspective that I personally have. It's so weird to admit that it's like really good whenever you find a piece of media that affirms a perspective that you already had, from the standpoint of like, oh my god, somebody else's brain either created or works similarly enough to my brain that I don't feel like I'm crazy. And Flowers for Algernon did that for me a lot, a lot. Really fucking good. Though again, I have to maintain that can't guarantee everybody will have that same response, but if your brain's like mine, you probably will. If you're like me, who oftentimes jokes due to uh, a sort of fear of the dark situation about one's own, about the oh god, well, not that, about the way that one's own brain might be constantly malfunctioning, you might like Flowers for Algernon. It is very good. Won't shut up for it about it for probably a second. It's really goddamn good. Absolutely one of my top books of all time now, without a doubt, without a question. Book so good that I would say this needs to be taught in schools. And then got upset when I saw the Wikipedia page said that it was potentially banned in states. Ain't ain't America great? Well, states are dumb. Yes, they are dumb for that. Uh-huh. It sure is, ain't it? We don't gotta talk about We don't gotta talk about it. Most controversial thing I want to say tonight is it's the Gulf of Mexico. And if you know, you know. We don't gotta talk about it. God. I don't. It's the Gulf of Mexico. End of statement. Ooh. I do like where this is heading, though. I really like how this has turned out. Dude. Trying to keep that curved. I'm kind of looking at my next book. I'm actually looking at, I believe it's still a short story because he mainly did short stories. But I did read Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness last year. God, if that was last year, like a year or two ago. It's really, really good. The Heart of Darkness is fantastic. And then fairly recently, I went on kind of like a book research stint in which I wanted to like look up a bunch of books that I was like, you know what, I need to be looking into books again. I need to. I don't know why, but my brain craves it. That's where I found things like The King in Yellow due to Signalis. I really enjoyed The King in Yellow. It's quite good. And then I was like looking up. I was like, I should look up based on authors that I've already really liked. That I should see what other books they've done. And I was like, I really like A Heart of Darkness. Absolutely one of my favorites. I can make a top 10. It probably would be in there with Count of Monte Cristo and Flowers for Algernon. That's how good it is for me. Um, but I was looking up his, just various books. Just Google it, to see what it popped up. And then I was like, wait a second. I just rewatched Alien. I had just rewatched Alien because why not? It's one of my favorite movies. I love Alien for a lot of reasons. Um, so I was like, sure. And the name of the ship in Alien is the Nostromo. Never thought about that. Fucking Joseph Conrad has a book just titled Nostromo. So now I'm like, well, I have to. It's the 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 fucking ship in Alien is named after a book by a prolific horror writer. Have to read it. So I'm probably going to read that next soon. That's pretty high on my to read next list, though. I don't know if it's going to have very many audiobooks because I've never heard of it. So, but I also have never heard of Flowers for Astronauts. What the fuck do I know? Not much, apparently. Really not one of my favorite books of all time. Till now. Till now. Hydrate bot. Thank you. I love that my relationship with Hydrate Bot and Hydrate Man are completely opposite, in which Hydrate Bot I always greet very warmly and excitedly, and Hydrate Man I'm completely antagonistic to. It's because he's completely antagonistic to me, and I made him. It's true, he can. He's got tough skin. Doesn't mean he isn't sensitive. Just stoic. Ah, you son of a bitch. I was just talking about you. Thank you, Hydrate Man. Not you, Corvus. Hello. I was talking about Hydrate Man. Of course. Yeah, now I just know that so many lurkers who all they want to do is listen to me ramble, draw dinosaurs, and hydrate me. I know, every time I talk shit on Hydrate Man, I summon him, but I also know he does it for my own good. Uh-huh. Welcome. Feeding this boy. Listen, me and Eggplant for scale. This is the metric system I've come up with, I've devised. This is an important element of all scientific illustration is you have to have a point of reference so that way you can understand the scale of your subject. And I used me and an eggplant. I think that's a pretty good metric for the size of the creature I'm drawing. Welcome. I've read a really good book that everyone should read. If you didn't hear me rambling about it, let me know if you heard. Listen, I can be convinced to continue to ramble about this book that practically made me cry. No, it did make me cry a couple times. Welcome back, Suffering. Welcome back, Bread. Bread. Wonder how many eggplants tall you are. See, we did the math, and I'm about 7 to 8 eggplants tall. Because we did look it up and ultimately found out that I drew an eggplant way too big. I drew an eggplant like 18 inches long, and then I looked it up and they were like eggplants, and then I got an eggplant recently. I was like, oh my god, what was I fucking thinking? Eggplant am I talking about? The eggplant that I picked up was definitely 8 to 10 inches and not 18 inches long. Ooh. Oh no. Oh yeah? Oh no. Yeah, I know you mentioned that. How'd it go? It hopefully well, it sounds like. Ah, yes. I love the state of being in which it's better to and it kind of fills me with a little bit of dread how much our teeth are little guys inside of our head that are slowly waiting to just kill us. I actually need to get sounds like just like a tiny filling at least, like just a spot filling. I'm still just like, oh my god, I've been brushing my teeth way more and trying to take care of them, and I still need a goddamn filling. How did I get a cavity? How? I hate my teeth. Going to the dentist has taught me that I hate my teeth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I still need to schedule that filling. I'm still just like, I need to work on some other things too regarding it, but I don't want to right now. I want to do too much shit. Times you got anesthesia in your mouth, you just had the unbound urge to bite off the numb part of your mouth. Yeah, it's so weird, right? Like when it numbs, you just like, there's something in my face and I don't get it. You just get this feeling that there's something wrong inside your head. You're like, why is it like this? Why this? You have meds that reduce your saliva and health condition that saliva is mostly what protects your teeth. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. You know, the concept of braces still makes me a little uncomfortable, but I'm also just like, I feel like I somehow, out of all of the, growing up things that you could have been made up for, somehow dodged a lot of those, except for glasses. Of course, people still make fun of you for having glasses, because though I wonder if that's not even that much of a thing, because I think glasses would be or have become so commonplace. I think it's less common, in my opinion, to know somebody who doesn't have glasses. I feel like every other person has glasses now. Prescription toothpaste, yeah, that makes sense. Like if you need like special toothpaste for your teeth, then yeah, because like if you have it makes sense. Because like general purpose will get you where you need, but like if you have like everybody has different saliva levels. One of the weird compliments I got going to the dentist one time was they were just like, "You produce a lot of saliva." It's like, thank you. While they were inside my mouth, I was like, okay. Uh-huh. Fair enough. Yeah, no, oh god, that reminds me, I need to give them a call because now I've had something that's happened that I'm like, I'm a little annoyed, and I swear that I didn't do this. So I'm like, but I might have, who knows. I have an eye doctor appointment the day after my birthday, but I don't remember scheduling one, and it wasn't in my calendar. So I'm a little like, I don't remember scheduling that. I don't remember scheduling that, and I can't really do that right now. So I might have to be like, not right now, and if I could schedule an appointment, I'll let you know. Cuz I definitely did not schedule an appointment. I might have at the time be the only thing, but I'm just like maybe not right now. Yeah, working out some stuff regarding some stuff. Everything's a bit of a shit bag right now. Everybody knows it. I think everybody knows it, regardless of what anyone believes. Everything is kind of a shit bag right now. Hey, okay, okay. It's okay. This is a safe space where we call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, it makes me nervous every time my computer does that now. I don't know what keeps on disconnecting and reconnecting. Ugh. Gotcha. Get some rest. Go grow more teeth. You know how it goes. Go regrow your teeth. I think it would actually be more upsetting. Well, it would it wouldn't be though. Like if I was like, man, I think it'd be more upsetting to regrow the teeth in your head. I'm just sitting here like, one, that'd be convenient, and two, if our biology just had us regrow our teeth, we'd be like, man, it'd be really awful if our teeth didn't regrow. Just how, because our teeth don't regrow, we're like, man, it'd be really awful if our teeth regrew. Before you say it, I know about baby teeth. I don't mean that. Like we shed our teeth once. Teeth don't regrow. If anything, I think that's weirder that our teeth grow only once. Why do our teeth only grow once? I think our teeth should grow more than once, personally. You seen what our teeth go through? Why weren't our teeth designed to eat bread? I don't get it. If our teeth weren't designed to eat bread, why does bread exist? That's kind of something that I like incepted. No, I don't want to eat you bread. I just mean bread in general. Another bread. Sorry. That's something I like got really obsessed with when I was younger. When it was like somebody came to school and they were giving a talk about how to take care of yourself, kids, and make sure to brush your teeth and take care of your teeth. Here's all a list of things that can fuck with your teeth. And I was like reading it and I was like, okay, sure, candy, sugar, whatever. Bread? Bread? And then it also said like pencils, and I was like, well, who's eating pencils? But they were like bread, and I was like, bread fucks with your teeth? Bread fucks with your teeth? And thinking about it, I mean, it is a starch, but bread fucks with your teeth? I don't know how bread fucks with your teeth. I still don't know how bread fucks with your teeth. Somebody explain to me how bread fucks with your teeth. See, I know the age-old adage that bread makes you fat. That's different. But I don't know how bread fucks with your teeth. I want to see the paper on how bread fucks with your teeth. As soon as I read that, I was like, then everything fucks with your teeth. And that's the real answer is everything fucks with your teeth. If it goes in your mouth, it fucks with your teeth. Ah, man. You have a daily consumption of chewing on plastic spoons till they're eviscerated and have consumed at least 10 grams of microplastics. And I can guarantee you, those microplastics probably fucked with your teeth, but not because like the microplastics got in your teeth, probably because the I believe the reason why bread fucks with your teeth is it's like it like physically fucks with the positions of the teeth or something. Like it's just wears on them. And I was like, that's dumb. Uh-huh. That's also true. High carbs. It is a starch. That's carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. Both of your big molars on each side of the bottom half have fillings. Ah. That's what I'm saying, man. Teeth are they're little scamps inside of your head that just slowly fall apart. They just slowly fall apart and try to kill you. You want to talk about any part of your body that will try to self sabotage you, whether you like yourself or not? It's your fucking teeth. Your teeth are going to kill you. Not you, everyone. When I say you, I'm using the plural of you. You all. Your teeth will kill you. Y'all. Y'all. More texture. Texture. Neofron. He looks good. I like him. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna like. I will be done today. No matter what, I will be done today. I just thought. Like, I think I will get finished today, no matter what. But like I said, I was like, I did so much work last time, so quick. But I was like, today's just gonna be a lot of detail work. I think I'm just gonna keep adding to it. Like, there's not really anything that I can do to overwork this, as long as I keep on adding a little bit at a time. So I'm not too worried or concerned about doing anything like that. Remember, Hydrate Bot also applies to you guys. When Hydrate Man and Hydrate Bot appear, they also appear for you. You need to be drinking water as well. I want to make this clear that I want to be one of the first streamers that every time you tell me to take a drink of water, I tell you to take a drink of water. Don't forget to drink water yourselves. Saying. We all gotta take care of ourselves. You know? Neoneophron. Neoneophrin. I still don't really know how to say Eoneophrin's name because it's really weird. I want to say it's probably that Eoneophrin, but very odd. It's a very odd name. Tail. Put the more to work and do the tail. I do hope Nostromo's good though. I really am curious. I really liked A Heart of Darkness. It it is a really good book that honestly I was not expecting it to be exactly what it was. And what's funny is like again of all the things that like are like Buddha Buddha like so much of that book is such a like almost a bizarre trip because so much of it is very like subdued for the kind of like material that it's covering. It's got a weird headspace and I really really like it. You feel like you're suffering a fever when you read that book and it's really good for it. I think that's what makes A Heart of Darkness such a good read is that it feels like you're having a fever dream. And it should feel like you're having a fever dream. The main character's having a fever dream. The main character's having a fever dream being faced with some pretty awful shit. I still think one of my favorite moments in A Heart of Darkness is a more or less a joke that's still just like both a good joke and a good moment where the main character willingly admits that like he's starting to like he's starting to realize that he's becoming unreliable, like mentally unreliable, due to the kind of like strain of the situation and like the like weird headspace that it's just putting him in. And he just goes because there's like a illusion before where he's like essentially just a guy going to like fill out a report on what the hell is going on in Africa at the time while there's a big war going on and he's like he remembered like meeting somebody and he had like a discussion with them and he was talking to somebody and he was like on site documenter researcher guy and he's like yeah I've been tracking a lot of the people in this environment and they become their mental state is fascinating. They become scientifically interesting from a psychological standpoint to analyze. And then later on, he's just like, I think I'm starting to become science. I think I am starting to become scientifically interesting because his brain is getting turned to mush. It's not getting turned to mush, but like he's having a hard time keeping his grip on reality because the situation is surreal. That's what is so fascinating, I think, about The Heart of Darkness, even though it's very much an anti-war piece and very much, the whole thing about being anti-romanticism of globalization and colonialization. It's also super surreal. Like it feels like a fever dream. Both the book, the movie Apocalypse Now, and the game Spec Ops: The Line are all supposed to really feel like uncomfortable fever dreams because they the book especially. I think the book is fantastic for this, and it really caught me off guard. Is it really does a good job of painting not just how horrible things are, but how surreal the things are. Like you can't imagine the kind of environment it's like until you're in it. And it's not just as easy as, oh, it's bad. It's like got this weird tinge of otherness to it that he really captures in Heart of Darkness. It's like, oh my god, this is great. It really made me think of things like Silent Hill and stuff, and like, oh, this isn't just about, duh, we're bad. It's about how surreal that environment is. It's about how uncanny and how uncomfortable and the kind of mindset it puts you in to be in that environment for that long. Like, it's really good. Um, So I'm very curious what he does with Nostromo, because as far as I know, Nostromo is just about spooky boat stories. Nostromo is about a spooky boat story. That's what Nostromo is about. So I'm really curious what it is. I also, after having read The Count of Monte Cristo, since it's Alexander Dumas. No, clearly it's Alexander Dumbass. Come on now. I'm sure he's never heard that one before. He'd be rolling in his grave right now. He's definitely super dead. I don't know why I didn't know this. I didn't realize that was also Three Musketeers. Like John told me that. Oh yeah, he read the Three Musketeers and remembered really liking it. So I'll have to check out the Three Musketeers as well at some point. Moss does good stuff. Write a good book. Like it. Read more of his book. I want to go back and reread Frankenstein. Frankenstein is also pretty high up. I'll probably put that in like a Halloween circle. I'll probably circulation. I usually read more horror-y stuff around October, so I'll probably reread Frankenstein around that time because I know Frankenstein is good. That's another one from high school that I remembered reading and really really liking actually. Same with I haven't done it recently, but I did reread uh I can remember the name of that book. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's really, really good too. And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is kind of like a weird memoir piece. I think that's why I like it so much, is it's a weird memoir piece. It's a very, very weird one too. It's so funny. I love League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but in a lot of ways, that was my first exposure to Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I might need to rewatch the movie, but I actually get the impression that they kind of missed the point. Because the whole point is that Dr. Jekyll wants to be Hyde. And it's not until he starts losing control over him that it becomes a problem. He does want to be Hyde. At this point, I'm just going to a different section, working on it a little bit more, going to a different section, working on it a little bit more to try to add as much as I can. Or I'm just like, frick it, frick it, did enough. Which I'm almost there on, I feel like. I just want him to take the. I just want him to take the eggplant. Want him to eat the eggplant. Just traverse the 9 seas. You did? What did you find? What have you found? Anything good? Share your wares. Share your wares. What did you find, traveler? Wasn't fond of Niflheim. Oh. Niflheim. Niflheim. Aw. I'm doing my best. I want to maintain that that's that's something that I both want to change and I kind of fear. I do want more people to join. I do. And I'm working as much as I am. I am. Um it does help. It does help. So like if you find people, let them know. Let them know about it. Sharing does help out. It does. On the flip side, sometimes I do know that I need to still practice. I still need to practice, and I still need to have that growth where once I consistently up to like, let's say, just 8. Let's just say 8 people talking. Suddenly, it is 4 times harder for me to be able to keep track of people. The problem is people don't understand that. People don't understand that. That when there's 4 times as many people talking at the same time, that means I am 1/4 of the time being able to catch what everyone is saying. And that's difficult. That's difficult. I'm not saying, again, like, I'm going to be like, I can't do that. That has not ever been my MO. But I will admit, I want to work on that. I want to work on, because I've gotten flustered a couple times. And I want to make sure that the people who have rated me before with larger groups feel comfortable doing that. And that the people feel comfortable staying. But I know that's pretty difficult. It's a really, really difficult thing that I'm not super versed in. And I want to be able to experience it more so that way I can actually get the kind of like practice to be able to be like, okay, hi you, hi you, hi you. Because it's difficult. It's really hard. Um, and I think I want to maintain that I appreciate anybody in chat who is just willing to, come and watch and vibe because it's tough. It's tough. We have a lot of people who really, 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 really want to engage, and I appreciate it. And yet, there's like two things. There's two things of kind of interference. There's two interferences that kind of happen. The first interference is my desire to want to keep up, but then miss stuff. And I'm just like, jeez, jeez. But also another interference in which my content itself sometimes is not conducive to keeping up with chat, since so much of my focus is just on commentary. The irony is the commentary, if we are active, like, let's say I have a co-host, we're actively talking about something, and chat is trying to get our attention. I hate to admit it, but it's hard to be like, now we have to talk to chat. Because we're wanting to focus on what we're talking about, and it's really hard to engage with chat if chat ever decides to not want to engage with what we're talking about. And it does happen sometimes. So, unfortunately, the only way I can think to, like, handle it is to be like, well, focused on the conversation. Just gonna talk about the conversation. And it feels bad because it's like, well, that's probably if somebody was newer. If somebody's newer, they don't know that. They don't understand that. Because most people who watch somebody stream is to try to engage with them. It's just going to be like, wow, this guy doesn't engage. And it's like, no, I do. Unfortunately, I just demand at least a little bit of understanding of two things: that I won't catch every message, and your message has to be relevant in some way, shape, or form. And that doesn't mean it always has to be on topic. It just has to be relevant for me to like, has to catch my attention. Actually, it sounds harsh, but yeah, like you have to make a comment or you have to say something that's going to get my attention enough to actually respond to it. Like, and that's tough. That's tough because a lot of people starting on, like starting really early, want people to really able to be able to join, to be able to bounce things off of them. And a lot of people join, a lot of streamers, especially if they're meeting somebody new, to try to engage with somebody that they don't know. And I've kind of run into a bit of a conundrum. It's a bit of a situation in which I'm like, ooh, I'd love more people to join. But I also want to be able to like set my ground rules, to be able to be like, do know if the situation arises that the people who are going to stay are the people who are engaged with both sides, because it's both sides that matter. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's why I do want to keep doing Gardic Phone. Gardic Phone has been good for the stream for helping grow it. So don't worry, I will be doing more Gardic Phone. That I always want to reassure. But I can't do it all the time. Not me. And that's another thing that I feel bad about, actually, a little bit. Is I think a lot of people join, they see me do Gardic Phone. They're like, oh yeah. And then we do have a good time. We have a good positive experience. And then I don't stream Gardic Phone again for a week or 2 weeks. And it's like, I get it. But I will lose my mind if I do Gardic Phone every single day. I would lose my mind. I would go insane. Thank you. And that said, ultimately, Gardic Phone, the best thing that Gardic Phone has done is I get a burst of people who come in, get to see, and maybe those people come back for something else I do. That's ideal. That's all I want. They don't all have to come back. I know they're not guaranteed to come back, but every time I do a Gardic Phone stream and we have one or two people who generally are like, let's just see what he's up to. That's ideal. That's what I want out of Gardic Phone. So don't worry. I do intend to keep doing Gardic Phone. I do. Absolutely, I do. But also, flip side, I will go crazy. I would go crazy if I did it, because I did. I got stressed about it. I got way too stressed about it. And I have to like set up some boundaries for myself actually regarding Gardic Phone, because it's very easy for me to run into a couple of equally frustrating pitfalls of I've had Gardic Phone streams where just it felt like nobody wanted to join. And I'm just like, ugh. And like weirdly enough, I really enjoy Gardic Phone, but Gardic Phone still is not 100% what I want to do, because so much of Gardic Phone gets distracted depending on who's joining. And when I say mean who's joining, I mean as in people who I don't know, like who are just experiencing for the first time. So it's tough. It's really, really difficult. It's really, 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 really difficult. Especially when I do want to keep growing. I want to keep growing. And I have this thing that, for all intents and purposes, does what I want it to, but stresses me out. It does. It does cause stress because sometimes it's like, man, I want to be able to do this, but what if this week, just for whatever reason, people don't join? And it's happened. It's happened. And it's not something I want to like think about even. Just period. You know? It's not something that I want to be a facet of my consideration for like, oh yeah, this thing I do, I just gotta know that sometimes it won't even do what I want it to. Stressful. Stressful. That risk reward, baby. And it still hasn't even been easy. It's been easier, but it still hasn't been easy. It still absolutely hasn't been easy. People join for Gardic Phone and then weirdly get weird, to put it bluntly, like about what we do for Gardic Phone and get annoyed when we don't do anything but animation. Like, okay. And then I scare off people because all I do is want to do is animation. So I could do Sata Andagi. I could just say Sata Andagi. Yeah, do it too. Sata Andagi. Sata Andagi. I love Osaka. She's great. Osaka's great. Everybody loves Osaka. If you don't like Osaka, what's wrong with you? What did Osaka ever do to you? Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's why at least I set up boundaries for myself on it. That's why I'm so adamant. I'm like, I want to do solo animations, both to establish, hey, this is really what we're doing here if people really want to join, and to make sure that I actually get something out. That's why I don't set it up as like a, oh yeah, I want to do this to make sure that people join. I want to do this to make sure that I get something out of it. Because why would I do it then? Ultimately, a lot of the things I do, if you're like, well, then what do you get out of the other things you do if they're not doing what Gartic Phone does? I do still get out of this. I'm getting a picture. Get a picture of me drawing a dinosaur. Me holding an eggplant up to a dinosaur. I got something out of it. Elden Ring. I'm fucking beating Elden Ring. I'm finally gonna get beat Elden Ring. Um, Playing Xenogears with my friends. I get voice acting practice. I get the opportunity to be able to do more conversations with my friends and like have hypothetical practices and get to play through a game that I've been curious about. I do maintain that the numbers don't matter. Asterisk, I do want them to go up. They don't matter because what I'm getting out of it are not dependent on the numbers. But I do want the numbers to go up. Drawing Melania? Maybe. We'll see. I already did 2 drawings. I did like 3 drawings of Melania. I don't know where you've been. I've been doing all sorts of drawings of Melania. Exactly. And also exactly silos. And that's the thing, is like, granted, I don't know why I can't do easy mode. I don't know why. It doesn't come naturally to me. I literally tried. I tried with Gardic Phone doing it twice a week, and it hurt me. It just hurt me to do. I, weirdly enough, hard mode is easier for me. Because the easy mode sucked the life out of me. It sucked the life out of me, and it wasn't even for like a month that I tried to do it. Like, it hurt me to do. But that's why what matters to me are the people who are gonna stay around. Who are gonna see this stuff and like be able, sure, maybe not join for every stream if you can, but be able to join for the streams that you can. Watch the VODs that you can. This has never been about what people can make it for. It's been about what I can make for people. And when I think about it that way, everything I do is for something. Because again, if you're watching this in the future, you've had whatever the fuck I'm talking about for the last 2 hours. And like, that's good. That's what I've always wanted. That's what I've always wanted it to be. As much as I want it to be about being like, I want to give people the opportunity to interact. I want to be able to interact with you if I can. But those interactions have to manifest to something that somebody could watch without being there and still get something. Still get something. At least I believe that way. That's why I think about the way that I do and the way that I talk the way that I do. Tatandagi. So yeah, like I know I do things the hard way. I know a lot of times I do things. I know there's a lot of easier ways to do the things, but what I have at least figured out for myself is as much as I like is I as much as I gravitate to doing the hard way, I appreciate that the best way to get me through doing things the hard way is people support actually. Like just gonna if I'm gonna do things the hard way, then I need help. And honestly, like that support has grown and I appreciate that. And for those that like that this I hope matters to you, your support helps me make hard mode not that hard. Always remember that. Like if there are easier ways to do this and everything. There always have been, there always will be. But doing something the easy way does not suddenly make it easy on you. It doesn't. It doesn't make it easier. Nothing about this gets easier by doing things that will fast track you. All it'll mean is that I'm in a position of having to take on more responsibility without the experience of being able to manage it or handle it. So, I do think I want maybe a little bit of ramp. That's why I want Gardic Phone to stay. That's why I want to continue doing Gardic Phone. Don't worry. Again, the only reason why I didn't do it last week is I needed a break. I needed a break. I needed a break. I needed at least a week. Is usually what I go for. But like, I still want to keep doing it because if it's gonna keep growing the stream, then obviously I'd be a freaking idiot to not keep doing something that is still good. But to do it every day, oh god, dude, too much. I just don't even have enough ideas to be able to do that. Guys, I'm so happy I can play Phaedra again for you. I had to stop playing Phaedra because I kept on getting the VOD dinged. And now I can because the way that I have the VOD set up, that this won't appear in the VOD now, which is nice. So now you could hear one of my favorite weird things. I love Phaedra. It's really good. And given how this is going, I'll probably end as pretty much as soon as it hits 10 because it's like I don't need to go that far. This is this is practically done. All I'm doing is adding details for the fuck of it. I could add a plant. I don't know where I would put it actually. Like I thought about it, I was like maybe I'll do a background. And I'm like, where are you gonna put background? What are you gonna put the background? Good No source. This is the eep de peep. Dude, if people put on my VODs to fall asleep to, I would genuinely be like that would touch me. No. I would be touched. I want to use a better word. I want to use a better word. No, that would mean a lot to me. That means that I'm doing something right. And that's why I really think the best things that I can do for myself moving forward. I'm gonna keep I'm like, I gotta keep reading books. I gotta keep reading books. I gotta keep um media, keep up on media and stuff like that. And just keep myself enriched as much as possible. Because for starters, I feel like I have gotten better at talking because I've just started actually reading more books. I think that has helped me a lot. Um, and then I'm able to like have these much more, I hope, like engaging or at least enriching kind of like insights and conversations because of the media that I'm digesting. And I want to maintain that like, that's that's something that I do for myself that I would like to share for others. Come digest your brain with me. Come digest your brain with me. And a lot of those pieces of media do have an element of that. Like, a lot of them are just something they make me think about things. Books make me think about things. About a lot of things. Books I read. Wouldn't have a lot of the thoughts I have if I didn't read the books I did. So I'm excited for whenever, if ever, I read Nostromo, because I'm sure I'll have something to say about it, even if it's awful. Even if I'm like, wow, what a stinker. I'll still have something to say because God knows I won't shut up about a book that I literally hate. So at least it still was enough to be like, I got something out of it. Like what I got out of it, but I got something out of it. That's still at least something. And yes, Silos, I'm talking about Stranger to Strange Land. I just really don't like that book. I know. I have my reason. Hey, but I still like Starship Troopers. Always remember that. I do genuinely like Starship Troopers. It's a good book. Stranger in a Strange Land was not for me, but Starship Troopers is, so it's fine. It all works out. Yeah, and you're right. I should still try some of his other works. And again, we wouldn't have Halo, we wouldn't have Helldivers, we wouldn't have the movie Starship Troopers. Um, uh-huh. You'll hate one book and love another. You'll hate Stranger in a Strange Land and love Starship Troopers. Exactly. But I should still. Because, like, another example. Love Ender's Game. Fantastic. Speaker for the Dead. One of my favorite books of all time. Uh, Xenocide. Not very good. It's okay. I think Sean had a worse time with Xenocide than I did. I thought it was okay. Um, I thought it was all right. It wasn't what I liked out of Xenocide, or it wasn't what I liked out of Ender's Game or out of um Speaker for the Dead. I still need to read the next Parable of the Sower book, though. I want to finish the. I want to read the Earth series, the Earth Seed series, because Parable of the Sower is also quite good. Very good. Highly recommend. And it's actually a trilogy known as the Earthseed trilogy. And it's really, really good. Actually, you mentioned earlier suffering. If you do like apocalypse style stuff, I do recommend Parable of the Sower. It is a book about uh, it is about a kind of post-apocalypse, modern apocalypse, um, in which essentially like social pressures have deteriorated intensely. We'll put it that way. Um, and it's about a character living in that setting and wanting to try to create and process a revisioned and a new theocratic thought. They essentially want to make a new philosophical religion. And it's really good. Earthseed is really, really good. It's also got an interesting thing with the main character that I think is a fascinating kind of like character thing that exists in that book. So she's very fascinating. Very good. Highly recommend it. And the first book is Parable of the Sower. I haven't read the other two. Again, I don't know. I don't know anything about them. They could be good. They could be trash, for all I know. But Parable of the Sower is quite good. Parable of the Sower, with a little bit of an asterisk, I always like to say. The asterisks on Parable of the Sower is yes, kind of upsetting material. It's got a lot of really heavy theming, but the thing that it does right with it is it does not use that heavy theming to bash the view or the reader over the head. It just constantly brings to light how awful the situation is, but it doesn't make you actually experience any of that awful shit. So just fair warned, there is awful shit that happens in that book technically, but you're not ever made to actually sit through any of it. You're just told how it happens all the time. Boy, this feature. Oh no! Oh, that actually affected things. I didn't think that would affect anything. 1 second, everybody. That is not what I expected to happen. Damn it, I unplugged the wrong plug is the reason. I want to unplug this plug. My USB plug is being weird. Hold on. Hang on. Uh, that was weird. What do I feel like something broke? Why don't... Oh, hello? Why did my headphones... Boy. Oh. Uh... Oh. Why did my headphones disconnect? See, that's what I thought. 1 second. Why are my headphones not connected? Okay, that's working. That's good. 1 second. You're gonna hear a couple of. Well, you're not gonna hear this. 1 second. My headphones disconnected. I don't know why. Here, I'm gonna actually do a couple things anyways because. All right, I think we're good. There we go. I think we're good. One of the things I'm gonna do, this is gonna be silly, is I am going to keep this at this angle. Um, Probably would help. I was getting a little. I had the screen down, and I think it being up a little bit will be helpful. And I think it was affecting some stuff. Could also see some things a little bit better that I couldn't before. All right, we're back. I don't know what happened there. Also, welcome to Phaedra. It fucking rocks. It's weird as shit, and I love it. It's weird as shit and beats ass. Yeah, I actually think that I had my I had my screen too far forward and I needed to pull it up anyways. Something is weird about my USB plugins though, because also my USB plugins were affecting being affected everywhere. So I'm just like, what the fuck? I also was getting a weird notification that seemingly has stopped. Not. Let me see. Oh, good, you're doing this shit again. That's fun. Well, actually, this kind of makes sense. I did a weird thing, so I get kind of weird about everything. Hydrobot. Oh, and now the camera's not. All of my USB hubs just like shut off for a second. Man, I don't know. My computer, man, it makes me worried. That would explain what happened, but it doesn't explain why. It explains what happened. What it doesn't explain is why, though. It explains why things like my pen stopped working, why my headphones got disconnected, and why my camera stopped tracking my head movements. What it doesn't explain is why it happened. So I guess we'll just have to move on from that experience. Whatever. My computer is just shit busted, man. I don't know what to do about it at this point. There we go. I do like the detail work I did on this one, though. It came out good. It came out good. I feel like. I love the colors on my bird, too. He looks good. Take that out of context. Silos, don't you take that out of context. Put you in jail for it. I will. Either way, this is good. This is definitely done. This is done. This is finished. I'm not gonna work on it anymore after today, and there's only 9-ish minutes left anyways, so thank God the whole thing didn't break. At some point I should just have a universal, you know, at. I should have a universal at, which maybe I'll do that soon. But I feel like that's about as much as I want to do. It's about as much as I want to do. And I think that came out good. I feel like this came out really good. I like the coloration. I like the patterning. I feel like I'm getting much more solid in patterning. I need to do some studies. I need to do some bird studies is what I need to do. I need to look up animal patterns and practice animal patterns. I think that'd be the next best thing I could do. Is essentially be like, here's a dinosaur I'm going to draw, and here's an animal pattern I'm going to use, and I need to find the reference of that animal pattern and actually use it. I think that might be what I do next. So I might do like, let's say we do a I'm thinking. Why can't I'm like really and let's say we just do Iguanodon. Let's say we do an Iguanodon and then the colors are an Okami. An Okapi. Okapi. Okami is something. Okami is a game. Okami is a game. Okapi is relative to the giraffe. But yeah, we do Okapi colors. So I should look up like color forms and patterns to practice because you can only do so much. You can only do so much. You gotta get reference points. You gotta get practice. Um, so you do that. Do like a tiger. Do my cat. I've had requests of what would, but I did look. It's gray like him with stripies. This is Neon. This is Neon right here. Neon, it's you. Neon. Oh, good. Here, I'm gonna go pester my cat. Oi. Kiss right on the lips. Eat. All right. I do think I'll end of round 10, just so that way I have some extra time. I need to do some stuff. Anyways, go take a shower. I'm trying to. That might be it. If I can, end as soon as possible, so that way I can just go take a goddamn shower. So, I'm going to start wrapping it up. Before we go, I'm going to open up Bing Create, and we're going to make an image together. If you want to participate, all you got to do is type in chat, whatever chat says. I'll use as a reference for the prompt, and then I'll share the image before we raid out. So to get us started, having the Oviraptor accept the eggplant offering before sleepy beepy time. Beep 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 beep. If you want to add to that, I'll give you guys a minute. Another minute. I had a big yawn. I had a big yawn. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Did not mean for a big yawn. I did not mean for big yawn. Yeah. Let it be known, folks. I did not know that oviraptors lived in North America. This is what they probably looked. This is something of what they could have looked like. This is possibly what they could have looked like. At least until we get more data. For sleepy EB time. They need more chonk? Aw. I didn't make him chonky enough. I can't add that easily. But he's a big chicken. He's kind of big. I did kind of make him like a big chicken. Having the oviraptor accept the eggplant offering before sleepy EB time and realizing that he can, in fact, read books. Yep. All right. Stick around to the very end. I also do a bit of a closing bit. We do raid after every stream. That way the vampires in our chat can keep watching. As everybody else out there, make sure to go lock your doors and windows. Because it's almost lunchtime for vampires. Thank you for joining, everybody. Hope you had a good time and you enjoyed the show. If you're able to join the live show, thank you for stopping by and chatting and watching. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for taking the time going back and rewatching the VOD. We appreciate it. If you're out there and you enjoyed this and you want to see more of what we're up to, I recommend scrolling down below and following or clicking any of the links. There's a link to an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, a Bluesky, and a Discord. We post when we go live on any one of those platforms, as well as anything else that we're up to, and just generally, you can come hang out with the rest of the community there. It's a good time on the Discord. Speaking of which, a shout out to our community there and everyone who follows. You guys are a wonderful audience, and we appreciate you. If we do anything particularly entertaining or noteworthy, feel free to clip it and share it on the internet. Just make sure to also hashtag it with MCCanary or link it back to the stream. People can find more of the good stuff we do here. And as always, if you want to see the stream grow, you gotta let people know. I appreciate that people have been talking about the stream, and I encourage you guys to do it more. It does help us out, and the support is always greatly appreciated, and it's just super awesome that you're willing to do that. So, again, if you want to see it, if you want to help us out, tell people about the stream, tell your friends. I won't. I won't talk to your friends. And as always, a huge thank you to MoTrimp and all of our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Your generosity allows us to continue to expand the stream as well as take on more projects. The stream would not be made possible without viewers like you. We thank you. If you want to see your name added to this list, as well as a couple of the benefits you could get, you could always subscribe directly on Twitch or check out the Patreon page there. It'll show you everything that you can get, and any amount is always appreciated. Once again, thank you. And thank you to Ahmad to do holding back the robot army to prevent becoming famous. And thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. I hope you had a good time. I liked my rambling. I was feeling contemplative today. I needed to content. I just needed to be contemplative, I guess. I don't know. I'll get you through housekeeping to get you on your way. Check out the rest of our friends in Goblin Entertainment. That link tree has links to everyone's channels and everything that they've done and they've been up to. And you can find the rest of my stuff here. I have my own link tree that has everything that I post to. So you should go check everybody out in Goblin Entertainment. All right, let's go say hi to Dr. Cooter. Sounds like he's doing a little bit of shiny grinding, as always. He's a good guy. He's a good lad. Everybody go say hi to him. Otherwise, have a good evening. Take it easy. And remember, if it didn't like the eggplant, just didn't you didn't give it a good eggplant. A better eggplant. You gotta give it a better eggplant. Hmm. Huh. Find this interesting. This is my father. This is my father with the eggplants. Why is Link here? Why is Link here? Why is the... Oh. 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 I don't like it, guys.